Hello and welcome to That Atleti Podcast. I'm Jeremy Beren of IntoTheCalderon.com. I'm joined by my good friend Ricardo Menéndez of the Maneras de Vivir podcast. And we have a Maneras de Vivir representation with us tonight. I got the mug with me.
That's so cool.
It's a good looking mug, man. I love this. You can see this on YouTube if you're watching, but I love the likeness of the Calderon on the back of the mug.
Yeah, that's done by an Atleti fan, a good friend of mine.
Oh,
So he did that. Yeah, really, really nice.
Well, there are ways of living. There are ways of understanding football, Ricky, and Atletico. We have quite a unique one, as we had reiterated to us last night at the Metropolitano, where I was as a member of the media covering a game that we're going to spend much of the episode talking about. Man, Atletico securing a 2-1 win over Inter.
What do you think about the poetry of pulling off an epic last-second win after pulling off a stinker? Isn't that the beauty of Atleti?
That's Atleti, man. That's us.
Yeah, exactly. You can never foresee what's going to happen.
Like, I mean, beautiful
except
madness.
Except me, because I got the result, man.
Yes, you did. When
I'll never do it against Atletico, and I really felt tempted to. But yeah, that 2-1 win was very, very sweet. Last minute win. I'm going to need you to carry the load because you were there. You lived that atmosphere. The first big night with a ribbon board. So beautiful to see the collage, the tifo, at the same time as a ribbon board was showing images of the players while the anthem was playing. It was crazy beautiful. Just next level.
Like the upgrade that has brought to the stadium. Not that the Metropolitano was like a dud to watch a game in the first place, right? Since it opened, it's been a nice looking stadium, but this has been a huge addition. Like so underrated. The ribbon board is beautiful. Like the picture is so crystal clear. Like the player intros to Thunderstruck have a whole new dimension now.
Yeah, a big fan of old school football, but if you have to go tech. I mean, I love the setup that Atlético Madrid has. It's huge, but it's in no way distracting to the real show that's taking place on the pitch. I mean, you don't have this overhead structure of, 50 tons that you feel is going to fall on top of the players. You have a ribbon board that really makes sense, and it's so nice. I love the way the stadium is coming together. I think the following steps, what they call the skin of the stadium, that exterior layer that they plan to add to the stadium in the upcoming years. I think it's going to definitely take Metropolitano to the next level.
Because it's like a honeycomb kind of structure. It's kind of, I don't want to use the word boring, but it's a little uninspiring because it's the old La Peneta exterior.
Did you hear Xabi Alonso the other day when he was recapping the lows of Real Madrid? I love to see those press conferences. I just rewatch them out of pleasure. He said, "We lost at Wanda," and it was like so reminiscent of. I remember when people used to call it El Wanda. Wanda.
Some people still do.
Yeah. And there was a funny tweet that I saw on social media that said, "Never trust an Atletico that calls the stadium Wanda."
Thank you.
That's a rule of thumb.
Yes, those people do not have our interests at heart, Ricky.
Exactly, or they're occasional fans. They're not the diehards for sure.
They're likely to have an agenda.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, but the ribbon.
Beware of the Wandelibers.
Yes. And I think the upgrades that we've seen at the stadium have also, maybe in no small way, contributed to how damn well Atletico are playing there right now. That's 9 wins in a row at home in all competitions, unbeaten there in 10 this season. Ricky, Inter Milan for the second time in 18 months came here and didn't win, didn't even get a point. Although it looked like. I was taking notes on press row and I was thinking, okay, we're getting to the 75th minute, 80th minute, 85th minute, 90th minute. I'm not sure a winner is going to come. But if there is going to be a winner, I think Atletico are going to get it. And lo and behold, they do.
I was following the Spanish TV broadcast, and right before that play, they were saying this is the moment of truth where the teams don't want to throw down or they don't want to spill down the drain what they've achieved throughout the game.
Right.
So we expect Atletico not to go for the win, and I especially loved. I mean, I don't want to hate on Inter after how nice Uncle Sharma was the other day.
Yes.
Uh,
Shout out Uncle
but
Sharma.
yeah, I really love the hideous defensive coverage of the last play. It was so textbook wrong of
It
what to
reminded me
do
of us.
when you're playing zone defense. They played
Yeah.
100% pure zone defense. It's probably the first time I see that in professional football, where you see a bunch of players like grouped up, parking the bus, basically, just
Yeah.
avoiding and no one covering 6 or 7 players that were coming in. It's almost impossible to stop a freight train that comes in and leaps with the power that Jimenez had in that play. It's not defendable, and
No.
and I think that Simeone saw that during the first half and lectured or coached the players to look for that kind of play. And having that set piece goal is just a glorious way to finish in a game that Atletico let slip from their control. They had the game where they wanted it, and then they had it in that other place that they want to have games that most of us don't want to have the games there because they just fall back and start defending, and before you notice it, they're all pressing their butt against Musso or against the goalkeeper that's playing that day, and it was just Inter was so dominant, and it was, I think, in that portion of the game, um, the ball possession was like very very lopsided, 66-33 or something like that, and Atletico's presence in the game was just dwindling. And then came Inter's goal, and Simeone decided to go all in and make a lot of offensive changes. I think that all of the changes worked except for Sorloth.
Yeah, I was going to say
I
maybe
was
with the
thinking,
exception of Sirlock.
is it hate or is there a correct reason to criticize? He just wasn't relevant. He didn't have um, an impact on the game as the other substitutes did.
Yeah,
I
compared to the other substitutes, he didn't. No.
Yes, I like very much the fullbacks that played in that last stint. How Nico Gonzalez adapted to that position. How Pubill came and he basically went berserk
Yeah.
and decided to go fullback, winger, forward, and
Midfielder, you forward.
yeah, it was very exciting to see the energy that he brought to the team. Koke, it all starts with Koke. It starts and
Yeah,
ends
as ever.
with Koke and Griezmann. He was really good in that last period. So yeah, really exciting changes. But I would like to hear your takes. Maybe you can bring some ideas from your match report.
Well, a couple of these I wrote up in my takeaways on Into the Calderon, and I want to circle back to the Nico at left back experiment because it might not be an experiment for much longer. I do want to come back to that, but I think I'm kind of tempted to start with Koke, but I should start with Josema Giménez, who you and I were pretty critical of him on the
Yeah.
early episodes of this podcast. The end of last season left a very, very bitter taste in all of our mouths. And knock on wood, let's hope this guy remains healthy. But I thought this was a true captain's display from Josema last night. Atletico have 7 wins and 1 loss in the 8 games he's been in the squad this year. He's been in every squad for the last 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did he score the winning goal, his first goal in 14 months, but he marked Lautaro out of the game. Lautaro barely, after the first 10 minutes, Lautaro barely had a sniff. You saw the jerarquia, you saw the leadership, the like literal hierarchy that Josema brings, that edge, that commanding el comandante. We really saw
Yeah.
that last night in a game where Atletico really needed him to be there. I think he made 6 clearances, a few ball recoveries, it felt like he won everything in the air.
Very,
But it was brilliant.
very, very, very spicy matchup between Akanji and Simeone, and you saw Jimenez there, um, standing up for his teammate as the captain would do. And it was probably the first time this season that we saw that Jimenez captain that we've been missing so much.
Yeah, really have. And Jimenez being there, like we've seen this demonstrated over the years, and it's I guess an axiom that keeps being proven right, man, is that when Josema is healthy, we win. Atletico have won 6 in a row now, ever since that humiliating loss at Arsenal. And I for me, the keys to this have been just that slight defensive improvement with Jimenez being back. And in these 6 wins between La Liga and the Champions League, Ricky, we've conceded only 3 goals. In only 1 game have we conceded more than 1.1 expected goals. So the defense has gotten a little bit better. And you and I can talk about what we noticed in attack from last night's game and how that's played out in our most recent fixtures. I still think there's some fine tuning required there, but defensively, the improvement with Jimenez back has been noteworthy, and it's powered us to these wins.
Does UEFA still print out those beautiful dossiers that have all the stats and all the information?
No, sadly, no.
They put them online, I guess.
Yeah, they don't give like a paper or like a physical copy, which sucks because I love collecting things like
I mean,
media and stuff. Like
I have tons of those. We'll have to rescue some of those reports because they're really cool to collect, and some are keepsakes of memorable nights. And
100%.
You were talking when you were in the press box, and you posted that video asking for possible results about the shocking starting 11. Tell me more.
Man, I didn't see Johnny starting this game. That was not on my bingo card, but let's talk about Johnny. I was pretty pleased with his performance. Simeone was too. He specifically said from the press room, I want to talk about Johnny. He's been out of the team for 88 days. He's had an injury. He's had to get back into the match dynamic, the squad dynamic. He's been training better, and that's why he's playing. He's getting closer to what we need from him. In 59 minutes, he won all 5 of his ground duels. And his presence, his positioning, that stabilizing quality he brought allowed Pablo Barrios and Conor Gallagher to just go on the attack in the first half. I think Gallagher kind of fizzled out after the first 40, 45 minutes or so. I thought Barrios played very well. And I do have a Pablo Barrios stat that I want to share with you soon. It's the one I sent to you earlier about the progressive passes. But Johnny and Koke are kind of competing for that same spot in the squad right now, but they're very different players. And you saw what Koke brings that Johnny doesn't really bring, at least not yet. Granted, Johnny's only played 250 minutes, not even 250 minutes in this shirt. But what did you make of the difference between Johnny and Koke in this game? What each one brought?
I think Johnny is the future, and he feels like the roadmap moving forward, but Koke still has so much presence, and he's so important for the team. I don't know if Giménez sees them as kind of the 2 sides of the same coin, and will rarely play them together. So we're going to probably have to get used to this. Johnny playing the bulk of the game, and Koke coming in to finish the work. I think that once Johnny is established in this rotation, now that he's had this solid performance, I think that Pubill is also potentially going to start being in the rotation and the player rotation. We're going to start to see this a situation where I would expect Johnny to get more minutes because that's why he was brought here. And I guess that the anomaly is to have had to play Koke and Griezmann as much as we have, and not use them as luxury items on your squad for those moments where you need the experience, you need that extra push, that extra talent, that extra dose of leadership. I think that's what they're going to add to the mix. But I can see the role being handed little by little to Cardoso.
There may be a little bit of military training that you and I have talked about before.
Yeah,
At play with Johnny. I mean, we know there certainly is with Pubill, and you mentioned the fullback play last night. How Nico and Pubill adapted so readily and so quickly to what the game demanded of them. I mean, Ruggetti and Molina started left and right, respectively. Molina had a moment in the first half where he just dribbled out of his box and just sprinted like half the length of the pitch on the ball.
He had probably one of his best.
God.
Well, I don't know if it was his best game in the season. I think it probably would be. Probably his best game in the season.
He plays the pass for Giuliano that keys the opening goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and a nice moment for him.
And I think that as much as the thing is that it's very difficult to have a grudge, to hold a grudge against Molina, because he looks like such a nice guy, and he gives zero problems. It's a little bit like Garan. You want them to be happy on your squad, but you can't see a situation where they're going to find that long-term happiness. So I think it was probably his best game, and I don't know if that confidence built over the last weeks is going to progress forward as Atletico has finally found its footing. This was, I don't know if you see it that way, probably the biggest obstacle ahead in the upcoming weeks. I mean, I know that we're playing Barcelona, but I saw this game as being more pivotal for the season's results. Atletico can go play against Barcelona and seeking a positive result. Doesn't necessarily have to come back with a win. And Barcelona is showing incredible signs of weakness and cracks in their defensive system, and even a little bit of discontent among players and the coaching staff. And I know there's starting to be some friction there. I would not have expected Flick's team to crumble so quickly after the exit of Inigo. But it's basically that piece that's the difference, the differentiating factor, having that leadership and that defensive leadership, or not having it has cost Barcelona most of its personality, and that's really a surprise, and it comes as an opportunity for Atletico because they're going to be able to focus on the second half of the Liga season, knowing that they are not an inferior side than Real Madrid and Barcelona as of right now.
Of the top four teams in La Liga, we are playing the best right now. We're playing the best football. We're in the best form. There are a lot of questions at Barcelona. There are a lot of questions at Real Madrid, man. Like they let in 3 goals to Olympiacos last night. Yeah. That's not good.
Yeah. You know I'm a 49ers fan, and the analogy with American football is if you're able to, in a bad season or in a not spectacular season, to grind through gruesome injuries, you're going to be in a very good position when it's a moment of truth. And I know that football has different rhythm. The calendar is so long, and there's so many opportunities to fight for La Liga, but at the same time to lose your possibilities of being in contention. I think that Atlético Madrid, now that they seem in the clear with the disaster of injuries they opened the season with. You said it, Cardoso hadn't played since my birthday on August the 30th. That's a very long time ago.
You were a year younger.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was a year younger. Was much happier back then. No, not confident. um, but it's. I mean, Atletico has invested a significant amount of money in a position that they needed to cover desperately, and they've gone 3 months without being able to use that player. It's been in the entire months of September, October, and November. It's a crazy portion of the season to lose a player without a cause that you would expect something like that. It's not that kind of injury that you say, okay, he's 3 months out. We have to figure it out. It was just, he had a knock or a bump in the training session. Let's hope that he makes it back soon, but that didn't happen.
Shout out Koke, man. Koke held it down just
Yeah.
as he always does, quietly, consistently, humbly. I thought his entry into last night's game maybe was the most impactful substitution. He completed 35 of his 40 passes, all 6 of his long passes. Just when Inter were gaining a foothold, Ricky Koke helped us get it back.
What a player! He's a player for the ages. I mean,
yes.
Remember that we talked about this anecdote, the enjoy Koke T-shirt. Well, we better enjoy Coke. We better enjoy Koke and see out these final seasons. I'm guessing that he's probably got 1 or 2 seasons more in the tank, and he's willing to accept this role of a diminished leadership that is so important to have in a dressing room, and to hand the baton over to the following generation and to the new leaders that are going to necessarily emerge in that dressing room. Because there are certain players that hold the current leadership, such as Giménez, Koke, Griezmann, and Oblak, that are eventually going to be out of the picture, and it's going to be a new age, and we have to start to get ready for that new age. And it's huge that this is happening with Koke in a peak moment of his season, maybe not his career, but we're seeing a very we're seeing very decent performances from Koke and from Griezmann, and that's something that I think it brings me a special amount of joy to be able to enjoy these players while they're having a good time and they're participating in these victories and in these and in the outcome of the season in a meaningful manner.
I mean, we've talked about this before as well. Pablo Barrios is well positioned to be part of this next generation of leaders at Atletico. I sent you this stat earlier, but among under 23 midfielders in the Champions League this season, Pablo Barrios has the most line-breaking passes of any U23 midfielder in the Champions League this season, with 49 of them.
He's
a star.
I had to deflect so many comments this summer of friends and even in our family groups talking about Atletico, which is what we do. Basically, we're obsessed with Atleti. Telling me that Barrios was mid, that he wasn't a top-notch player, and I've never had that feeling. I've always had the feeling that this was a breakout year for him, and I'm very glad that it's becoming that breakout year, and he's found his way back to the Spanish national team. I think he's surprising Europe with his performance, his talent, and he's going to be up there with the relevant players that teams prepare for when they play against Atlético, along with Julian, along with Baena. It's great to have a homegrown leader. We already talked about Giuliano Simeone a few weeks ago. I think it's just fair to talk about Barrios in the same manner.
It wasn't quite Baena's night last night.
Nope. And it's not being Baena's month, but it's a little bit like Julian Alvarez. These players are going to come and go. They're going to go and have ups and downs. World Cup seasons are complicated seasons. You don't get the maximum push out of your players. And while I'm not saying they do this intentionally, I don't think either Baena or Julian are not giving it their best. I think that just the mental fatigue and the physical fatigue of having to endure so many trips, the constant being alert for the national team, taking care of their physical condition more than ever, if if that is possible. I think it has a toll on players. I remember when Rodrigo de Paul and Molina were playing hideous football right before the Qatar World Cup. In that occasion, I did feel that it felt as an intentional attempt to save effort, to not risk their physical availability for their national team, and I was annoyed with Rodrigo de Paul and Nahuel Molina, even though after the Qatar World Cup, which was mid-season, they came back stronger than ever, and we got their best version. They had really fresh legs. They were able to compete, and we got their best version. But Baena, I don't know if we're going to see a transition season from Baena. I don't know if you think that we're probably not going to get his best version, being a World Cup year. I'm doubtful we will.
It could be. I mean, we also have to remember that he got off to the slow start with the injury and with the appendicitis treatment. Basically, he didn't start playing till like 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he's completed 90 minutes once. So I think we might be trending in that direction. We're almost in December. We can start to. I cast some judgment. This isn't quite the phrase I want to use, but for lack of a better phrase, we can start to make some declarations. I guess we can kind of see how things are going. And
if we have to make any calls, I would probably pull a plug on Rigetti.
I was going to bring him up next. I mean, he's such a weird case, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's not terrible, but
he's good defensively. He's legitimately good defensively.
To be up to the level required, and it's not his fault. No. And I would say it would be great to provide Galan and or Molina with a fresh start. And
I think Galan will definitely get one. He's going to.
I would explore the possibility of shedding Sorloth and making a splash for one of the big names in Italy for either Vlahovic or Lautaro. But why not?
Ooh.
I mean, if you're
rub salt in the wound there. Let's get Lautaro.
If you're in Liga contention, they're not. I mean, Vlahovic is in a contract year. I think he hasn't renewed.
No, he's available on free.
Lautaro is not. He's just not clicking right now. I don't know if it's that he's not finding his position within a Kivu's system. But I mean, it's one of those turbulent situations where it's ideal for another team to come in and say, "Hey, do you want me to take a problem off your shoulders? I mean, I'm here. I'm willing to take Lautaro, take a salary, pay you a handsome amount. I've got this new Apollo cash. I want to
spend some of it on Lautaro or another foil for Alvarez."
Wouldn't that be proper for Lautaro to be the first Apollo signing
after the near miss under
the
Ancelotti regime?
Wouldn't that be?
It kind of would. Yeah. And like his salary is something we could probably, especially if we shed Gallagher and Sturlock, that salary is something we could fit into our structure. And the transfer fee, I don't really know what Inter would ask for. Someone might get at me. Let's ballpark it like 80 million. Let's say
we've done this before. When we were talking about flops, I didn't remember the fact that we had shipped Chelsea to Milan when we got Fernando Torres back.
So, I thought I had mentioned that, but yeah, that was
you did mention that, and I think I did mention that. I had forgotten that fact completely. I didn't remember that Chelsea had ended up in AC Milan because Chelsea hasn't worked anywhere, basically because he has no work ethic whatsoever. But I just think it would be a great situation for Atlético de Madrid to be able to enter the second half of the league if they really have that availability of money as of right now, with a big splash, setting the cards on the table and saying Atlético de Madrid is going to be a competitive team. It's fighting for top European positions, and it's going to fight for La Liga up to the end. That would be a surprising twist of this season that started in such an awkward way.
Yeah, it was awkward. And this might be a boring response, Ricky, but I would almost rather invest 60 million in a star left back.
Start that though.
And
Okay.
maybe Nico can play that position. Nico
I'm
was fairly
gonna
good
give
there last
you.
time.
I'm gonna give you three options. I'm going to say star left back, Acuti Romero kind of leader for the defensive line, or top notch striker. You would go left back.
Who do I want the most? Oof. I would probably still say striker, but it's so close because Ruggeri just hasn't been quite what we needed, and we're already in a position where we're having to reconvert Nico Gonzalez into a new position.
I mean, I'm liking that option because
I am too.
Nico is such a good player. I mean, just the football talent that he has.
Yeah,
and it opens up so many. It opens up so many possibilities. It gives Nico a new career path that could be limited to this season, or it could maybe be his new position. We saw that with Llorente, and I just see that Nico's in for he's in for the long haul, and he's in for whatever the coach decides. I really like it's a positive thing about bringing Argentinian players that they're going to die for the cause. They're going to be die-hard Atléticos from the very first minute. I was before we started, I was watching Muso's interview versus Getafe, and he was just so excited to play. He was so happy, and he was talking about how happy he feels to be an Atleti player, and it's that kind of a feeling of belonging that you see in these players. That it's what makes me want to give them all the opportunities they need. Like for example, in the case of Raspadori, but I'm just not there for Charlotte. I'm not. I don't see that.
We've established
that. I don't see that sense of belonging.
No, it's difficult to get him engaged because he's not starting. And we've mentioned this before, but if he wants to be a starter, he should go find another club. But you can compare and contrast that situation with the one that is facing Nico, that is facing Raspadori, who had a really awesome cameo again. More than a cameo, played half an hour against Getafe. Did not get off the bench in this game. Neither did Thiago Almada. And I wanted to ask you about Almada's situation, if you see anything there, because he hasn't played in the 2 games since the FIFA break.
I see that it has to do a little bit with this kind of World Cup season where players are stretched thin, and I just like his talent very much. I think that Almada is going to come back. He's going to be useful for the team. I really like how Raspadori and against Getafe and Pubill against Inter have been immediate plug and play kind of players, and they didn't miss a heartbeat. They just got into the game, and it was an instant adaptation. And there's nothing better for a substitute player than leaving you wanting to see them more. And we're getting that feeling with Pubill. We're getting feeling with Raspadori. We've gotten this feeling before with Almada. I think that Almada lost his position when he was injured, and he had been a starter for a significant period of time, and then he was injured, and all these international breaks have probably disrupted his continuity as a starter. But I would say that we're fine on that front. I don't see any reason to be worried about it.
It was interesting to me. It got my antenna up, so to speak. But there is a lot of competition in his position. So
inner gossip, because I know that when you're in the press box, you get to hear a lot of journalists talking, I don't know, Mac about this and that. Anything interesting you want to disclose that you heard in the press room because the people don't know this, but there is nothing as boring as a post Champions League match because they're so long. They run on forever. You're waiting in the press room for like half an hour for each coach,
Yeah.
and then you have to rush out, and you've already missed half of the players because you're understaffed. You're a one-man show, and you just have to go back and forth, see if you can listen in on anybody to see something interesting. What was your experience like? How much time did you spend down there in the
Oh, I mean,
third basement of
the third
Metropolitano? It's
basement.
really deep. It's
Yeah. I mean,
it's like a
I was at the stadium
nuclear
until
bunker.
it really is. I was at the stadium till about 1 a.m.
Yeah,
Like
that's
for
the other
this
thing.
morning. I mean, it's
Whenever you do press, and it's a 9 o'clock kickoff, you're
like
getting
the
home at
game
2 o'clock
ends
in
at
the morning.
11. The game ends at 11, but you're there for the length of another game. That's just
But
how it
by the
goes.
way, I feel that you're so adapted to Spanish life. People don't know this, but Jeremy, we're recording and it's past midnight. I don't think it's been an hour since Jeremy had dinner, and
No.
I mean, you got half your passport with that. I mean, you can apply for citizenship, uh, having an 11 p.m.
Oh
dinner.
yeah, man. Since I've been here routinely just eating at 10, 11 p.m. That's how you have to do
Of
it here.
course,
That's it, man.
where you goeth, do as you seeth.
In terms of interesting things I heard in the press room, though, it wasn't yesterday, but on Tuesday when I went for the pre-match stuff,
Oh
I
yeah,
did hear quite a few whispers about Molina being chosen as Simeone's partner in the press conference. Because I don't know how many of our listeners or viewers know this, but the coach gets to pick who comes with him. It's not like UEFA designates so and so for the pre-match press conference. Simeone gets to choose, and
there's
he
intention
intentionally
there.
chose Molina.
There's intention there. He's
Yeah.
sending a message that Molina is part of his group of players that he trusts, and he's not going to sway or listen to the noise. And
I've never known Simeone to be a stubborn character before. That's shocking.
let me give you a small Simeone pointer. Whenever he's annoyed with a question, he's always going to answer with a single word.
Yes.
If it's a yes or no.
He got a couple of questions last night about someone on the broadcast asked him about like preparing for Barcelona, and he said Oviedo. Someone in the press room asked him, do you feel like you can qualify for top 8 now after beating Inter? He said, I'm thinking about Oviedo, and that was it.
Yeah,
very quick answer, about 3 seconds, and he paused, and then it's on to the next question.
Yeah,
you can always tell when Simeone is annoyed with the question because it's a very quick answer.
You get the single word answer or the short answer, and you know you've struck the wrong chord.
Yeah. Like Simeone's press conferences tend to be kind of predictable, but at the same time, it's not always easy to ask him questions because he'll repeat, we want to take the game to where we can do the most damage, or there's respect and praise for the opponent. There's these things we need to work on. We're going partido a partido. Those are like the 3 or 4 items that you can check off on your bingo card. Simeone is going to say them in almost every media availability. It's kind of extraordinary when Simeone just goes on a rant about something. It doesn't happen very often, which contrasts with the image he gives on the pitch. And he was very animated last night. He picked up a yellow card, I think in the second half. He picked up a yellow card. I think he was still heated about Giuliano going down in the box in the first half when we were attacking the Fondo Sor. He went down. Francois Letexier, the referee, did not stop the play, even though Giuliano was down for like a good 30 seconds. Inter got a counterattack out of it. Simeone, I think, was still steaming about that.
And Simeone got pummeled in the second half by Akanji, and the referee did not want to even look into that situation, not even, I don't know, warn Akanji about how close he was to creating a possible penalty, because he hit the ball, but then he just toppled Simeone over, and in a very harsh way. And then he started saying things like "shut up" or whatever, and things got very heated. the play that you're talking about, the yellow card play. I think it was. I don't know if it was Barrios that shot towards the goal, and he hit a player in the face, and the player just fell to the ground, and the
right.
referee immediately stopped the game.
Yep.
And it was just incredible because the ball was still. It was an attack situation, and not even Inter were saying no, we're worried about the guy. It was only the referee,
because it
I
was
know it's a
Barrios,
tough
and
call.
Atletico had a clear shot on goal.
Yeah.
It was a clear attacking opportunity, and he immediately stopped the play. Yeah.
He didn't give it a second to play out the whole situation.
The stadium sounded like a hornet's nest when that whistle blew. Oh my god! It was
I
so
know
loud.
it's a tough call, but I mean, I just didn't like the consistency of Letizier's refereeing.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I think this is the last thing I want to say about the game is that attending a Champions League match is just, it's something special, man. A big Champions League night like this is special, and it is really in a context or a circumstance like this that you really feel what it is to be That Atleti. You know, you feel how energetic and vibrant the stadium is, how much these fans care, how loud and how noisy, the home field advantage that Atletico have fostered at the Metropolitano. When we were moving here, there was a lot of concern about how on earth are we going to replicate the Calderon? We can't replace the Calderon. How this place is going to feel soulless, it's going to feel corporate, it's going to feel terrible. And there are elements of the Metropolitano that obviously are geared toward corporate interests and business interests. One of the reasons why Apollo has bought the club, has taken a majority share in the club. Okay, that's why. But I don't know, man. Just it gives you goosebumps being in the stadium for a night like that, because Atleti fans, you know, they come to play. You know, it's a very special fan base and a very special stadium and a very special club. And it was a really back and forth and tight and intense game. It felt like more than just round 5 of the league phase, man. I don't know if you felt that way, but being in the stadium, it felt like a game that had like
the thing is that
serious.
this season you have the feeling that the stakes are higher. Well, not this season. Since the change of format since last season, you get the feeling that every game has really high stakes, and there's no garbage time because you always need the extra goal, the extra push.
You
You
can't settle for a draw anymore.
Exactly, yeah. So
in the group stages,
makes
not
the competition more exciting, but at the same time, it's more cutthroat. And you see really surprising results all the time. Before we wrap up, I think we have to talk about the build-up to moving towards the Barcelona match against Oviedo.
Yeah, we do have Oviedo.
Let me test your Wikipedia-esque memory. When was the last time Atletico played Oviedo in Liga?
May of 2000.
Ooh, almost. Right. And when was the last time they played? Period.
That was in the Copa del Rey a couple of years ago.
Oh my God, you're so good.
That was in 2023.
You're so good, but you have.
I know this because I had Sid Lowe on the podcast for that one.
Your memory only goes back so far. It's 2002, 2002.
Okay, it was in
Liga. Yes, it probably that was probably the relegation. Yeah, for sure it was a relegation season because it was the second to last match day.
Atletico got relegated at the Tartiere. That was when it was confirmed in 2000.
No. But I mean, the last game against Oviedo relegated Oviedo, so it was like payback. It was payback. Yeah. Because Atletico relegated Oviedo.
Yes,
that was painful for Oviedo, but we had
May 5th,
to go through that just a couple of years prior to that. So yeah, it was like poetic justice a little bit.
Well, this fixture was first played in 1930, which I didn't realize, and Atletico have historically a terrible record at Oviedo.
it's much less lopsided than you would imagine. Fortunately,
this game is at home.
Oviedo have won 27 games against Atlético Madrid. That's a significant amount, and 20. There's been 20 draws. And I have to say that probably the first match that I ever saw live of Atlético Madrid was 19. I would say it was 1996. I'm looking for the score because I think Pirri Mori that played for Oviedo and ended up playing for Atlético Madrid. It was a home game at Vicente Calderón, and Atlético Madrid won 3-0. I remember. No, it wasn't probably that. It was probably way back. No, I probably went to another one.
Would this be November 3rd, 1996?
Yeah, I went to that game for sure because I was, but that doesn't make sense because I was already a season ticket holder by then. So it was no. It was probably, I don't know. I'm starting to, but for sure the first team that I saw live against Atlético Madrid was Oviedo, and I was thinking that probably the 1992 match, maybe the 1992 against against Oviedo, 3-1.
That would be 3-1.
Yeah, I'm gonna
who
have
played in that game?
It was 1992. That was right before Jesus Gil became president. Luis Aragonés was the coach. Abel Aguilera López, Juanito Donato, Solozábal, Tony Muñoz, Vizcaíno, Schuster, Soler, Orejuela, Manolo, and Moya. So you can see that some of the pieces of the doblete were already on the team.
We're already there.
Yeah. So yeah.
Very interesting.
Some of the doblete members. Luis Aragonés later became the coach of Oviedo. He's a historical coach for both sides, as is Radomir Antic, another historical coach for both sides, which is kind of surprising because they share that. And
this is a classic fixture.
Yeah, Atlético Madrid fans and Oviedo fans hate one another because Atlético has a rock-solid brotherhood with Sporting de Gijón fan. And Sporting de Gijón are the biggest rivals of Oviedo.
The Sturrian Derby, yeah.
There can be no friendship bracelets exchange at this match. Going to be like in the old days, a match, a duel to the death.
That's fantastic, man. Well, that is amazing to know.
It's going to be a nice game to watch, and Oviedo are really struggling with putting their season together and remaining competitive. And I think it's going to be exciting for Atlético to try to go into the week prior to Barcelona with a statement win that reflects Atlético Madrid's actual status. I think that we haven't seen that statement win in La Liga so far, except for certain games here and there. I think that
except for Real Madrid.
We're seeing good games here and there. Good portions of games, but we haven't seen that statement game that really sets a tone for what Atlético Madrid wants to be. I don't think that Atlético Madrid are searching for their identity, but I still think they have to prove that identity is theirs, and they're going to be a dominant side.
Oviedo haven't won in 2 months, man. They last won on September 30th against Valencia. Their best player is their goalkeeper, Aaron Escandel, who's been genuinely fantastic this year. When your best player is your goalkeeper, though, that's usually not a good sign. And they've still shipped 20 goals in 13 games in the league, which is a 60-goal pace. Not great. So they're in the relegation zone. They're already fighting for survival. They're going to be desperate.
Yeah, no, and I mean it's a very lopsided match because Atlético de Madrid has scored more goals than Oviedo has conceded, and Atlético has
not to disrespect Oviedo, but these are just the numbers.
The same amount of goals all season long that Oviedo have been able to score. It's an 11 against 7 stat. I think it's going to be a match that should be comfortable for Atlético Madrid, but right now Atlético Madrid are burning hot. They're the only team in La Liga that has 5 wins in a row.
It feels like a run of form that Atletico quietly put together, almost quiet as church mice. They put this together, but since the Arsenal game, that feels like it was a bit of a turning point, man, because we've been stacking these wins. If we beat Oviedo on Saturday, we'll move to it'll be a 6-game winning streak in La Liga, 7 in all competitions. How much rotation do you think we're going to see? You want to predict the lineups and predict the score lines, and then we'll get out of here?
I don't know about the lineup. I would say that it's probably going to remain consistent with what we saw in the Champions League fixture, depending a little bit on what happens with Oblak. If Llorente is trending towards returning, I wouldn't count on either of them being available. But. I'm not very sure because Giménez keeps popping these surprises into the starting lineup. It's becoming very, very hard and very, very risky to try to guess a lineup. I mean,
Yeah, it really is.
the Cardoso wild card was just crazy. We were talking about Sorloth probably being there, and he wasn't in the starting 11. And all of the press went with Griezmann and Julian up front, and then he
Yeah,
decided to
so did
put
I.
Griezmann and Baena. So
Yeah.
you never know with Simeone. I would say it's going to be a comfortable win. I would love to see Atleti hold a clean sheet, but maybe that's not going to happen. 3-1.
I'm going to go with 3-0. I'm going to say they do keep a clean sheet.
Okay.
And I'm going to be at this game. I selfishly want
Me too.
to see. Yes, you're going to be there.
I'm going to be in the Fondo Sur.
I'm not going to be in the Fondo Sur.
Thiago style. I'm going to. Have you seen about Thiago Menéndez being in the?
Let's end
you have to because I sent it to you.
Let's end the show with that, man. Our goat Thiago Mendes was in the stands last night. He was in the south stand for the Inter game.
Yeah, that was
truly one of us. Truly amongst his people, amongst the throng.
It doesn't happen that often. It's really neat when it does, and the atmosphere is really nice down in the south end. I know that Atletico has a reputation. It's not an unmerited reputation. But
on a future episode, I want to talk about the Frente.
We have to talk about the South End, about fans and these firms, for Atletico, and how it's kind of a social concept rather than an established group. But when you go to the South End, you really see a few nasty people, but mostly you see a lot of people that are there to enjoy Atlético Madrid. It's the best atmosphere within one of the best stadiums in Spain in terms of atmosphere. So it's like the top of the crop.
Yeah, you just come here and then you go watch a game at the Bernabeu and you just compare the two. There is
I mean, my tickets are enviable, but yours isn't bad. Can you say where you're going to be sitting?
I am going to be sitting a few rows behind Cholo Simeone.
Are you going to be the coach whisperer? You're going to say, Simeone.
Listen, he has forgotten more about football than I'm ever going to know. But listen, if it's a tight game in the 60th minute and Marc Pubill isn't playing, I might have to move up a few rows and get in his ear.
But what would you go with Pulic? Go with Pulic.
Hey, Cholo.
Give Pulic a chance. I mean, if he's good enough for the Paralympics, he's good enough for the left back.
And on that note, let's leave it there, man, for this edition of That Atleti Podcast, because it is. I mentioned this last week when I did the solo show, but I now understand what you go through when we record the show at this time of night. And
oh my god, I'm so tired.
I was so tired. I recorded it at 11 p.m. last week, and I was dead on my feet.
Exactly.
Barely make it through, but we have made it through this week, man. Thanks all for listening to this edition of That Atleti Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment as well if you're watching here on YouTube. Last I checked, Ricky, we're at 449 subscribers. We're getting closer to 500, our next milestone.
Red hair is coming.
Red hair, a tattoo, maybe both. I could get a little crazy and do both.
Okay.
In addition, you can listen to the audio form of this podcast if you don't want to see my red hair or my next tattoo on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you prefer to listen. Find us on Instagram at That Atleti Podcast, TikTok, That Atleti Podcast, intothecalderon.com. You can listen to Ricky's show, Maneras de Vivir, on Spotify. Where else are you, man?
Everywhere. Where the podcast available, Apple, the podcast, the Google Podcast, iVox, which is a Spanish platform. We're on a hiatus right now. We're coming back in January. We're probably going to transition to Twitch and YouTube. So we're trying to figure that out. Yeah.
All right. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that, for the
exactly,
Maneras de Vivir 2.0.
exciting, but I'm honing the iron here with you by your side in the best company possible. And we're going on tour. The day after the match, I'm taking Jeremy to see Toledo. We'll probably
Yes, I've never
start the morning at El Rastro and make it like the most Spanish day possible and end up in Toledo. But yeah, we're gonna have a blast.
Can't wait.
You have to post videos from Toledo. You'll see that there's a lot of Atleti fans in Toledo, which is a nice thing.
All right. I'll be amongst mi gente. I can't wait.
We can go bar hopping to see if we can find any peña there.
The Toledo Peña? Hell yeah. Can't wait. And you might see me post photos and videos of this nature on my Twitter at JB Beren, at Into the Calderon. Ricky is at Ricky AM. And until next time, adios.